And I want to start out with the one thing that has remained the biggest talking point in the series, which is rebounding. The Cavs were out rebounded 47-33, their biggest beating of the series. The winner of the rebounding battle has won each game in this matchup. And in a series that has been decided by many, many factors, the rebounding battle has been a consistent thorn in Cleveland's side. Now, I want to start off by saying, I stand by Jarrett Allen's performance in games 1 and 2. I genuinely think there's a case to be made that for the first 2 games, Jarrett Allen was maybe the best big on the floor for either team. That vanished in New York. He had just 9 rebounds in 76 minutes played in New York, compared to 24 rebounds in his first 76 minutes in Cleveland. In Game 4, I felt like there was some unacceptable effort from Allen at times. I think there were moments where he was just kind of lazily walking around the court. I think there's explanations for that, but in terms of must-win game, season potentially on the line, not the effort that I wanted out of Allen. And it's worth mentioning that Mitchell Robinson just flat out has dominated his role, which is much more simple. It's very simple compared to Allen's, where anytime Allen steps out of the paint to contest a shot or be the defensive anchor that the Cavs need him to be, Mitchell Robinson has one goal, and that's claim that space, dig in deep, and don't let Allen get on the boards. Jackson, what have you been seeing in the rebounding battle, and particularly Jarrett Allen versus Mitchell Robinson?
Well, it's not good. I'll say that. This whole thing is baffling, really. When we talked in, I don't know, March, even like the end of February, when we kind of knew that the Knicks were going to be the team that the Cavs could potentially face, it was like, well, the Knicks have been, kind of a good team. They're kind of a streaky team, but really they just get a bunch of offensive rebounds and they don't shoot the 3-ball really well. So the Cavs will just need to really rebound against them and they should be fine. And we said that
they have not been fine.
Yeah. Well, we're just two idiots who talk and write about the Cavs. And it's like we saw Game 1, the Cavs weren't prepared at all for the rebounding. The guards were just kind of hanging out like they were just playing against the Charlotte Hornets. They had no interest in trying to get rebounds, and they lost a game that they should have won. Game 2, they came out and they said, hey, we got to really rebound against these guys. And they did. And then they won. And that kind of went away. And I don't, Allen is the main culprit for Game 4, but I don't know if he's the root issue. I think the issue goes back to how the Cavs have really game planned for this series. And when you look back at these offensive rebounds that Mitchell Robinson was getting, it wasn't a situation where it was like Tristan Thompson against the Celtics or the Hawks, where he's just, just moving guys into post, just skying for rebounds, and they put 2 guys on him, one guy's face guarding him, but they just can't stop him. Like, no, that's not what's happening. It all goes back to how the Cavs have been playing defense, and they've been, last game they started with Darius Garland on Jalen Brunson, and their whole goal was we'll start him on Brunson and we'll have Allen help at the rim. Well, Brunson is during the regular season, 55% of his shots came into mid-range. Jarrett Allen's not helping defend any of those shots. So what you're getting is a lot of Jalen Brunson starts driving inside, and he's driving inside just to create space for a pull-up. Jarrett Allen takes a couple steps out of the paint. The shot goes up. Mitchell Robinson's the only one standing underneath the basket, and he's getting rebounds. That was 5 of his 7 offensive rebounds yesterday, just me going back and looking at that. So it's like, yeah, Jarrett Allen could be better, sure. But, what would actually be better is if, the Cavs kind of trusted their defenders to defend, Jalen Brunson. If the Cavs trusted their defenders to defend Jalen Brunson, you wouldn't see RJ Barrett just blowing past this guy every time he touches the ball because his guy's closing out too hard. If they trusted their defenders, maybe they could get an offensive rebound, and they're not giving the Knicks unlimited second chances. So it's just like, yeah, Jarrett Allen looked pretty timid. He looked really timid in the 2 games against the Knicks. I thought his third quarter was really good in Game 4. I thought Darius Garland did a good job of setting him up. I thought he was rolling to the basket, being that aggressive guy that we've seen throughout the season. But that was too few and too far between. But I really, as much as it's like more fun to just say like, hey, the Cavs are soft, it's not the Cavs are soft issue. It's the Cavs don't have a game plan for this team, and they're not on the same page even when trying to execute that game plan. So that's just a sign of a team that's not prepared for this.
Mm-hmm. I think, the narrative that Jarrett Allen is just soft, needs to get in the weight room, while sure, he could improve in that department. He could get a little stronger. He could play with a little more aggression at times. I think selling it as that's the problem, is that Jarrett Allen is getting punked on the glass because he's not strong enough. I think you're really missing the bigger problem there, which is something that we've talked about all season with the Cavs. Amazing defensive team, number 1 in defensive rating, but they have had a habit of overhelping all season. And this is where, depending on the matchup, you see, oh man, why are the Cavs giving up so many wide open threes? Why do they keep giving up threes? And it's like, well, because they overhelp a lot. They really, really make an effort to protect the paint. And when you do that, you're going to give up threes. Against the Knicks, Mitchell Robinson isn't standing in the corner. He's standing right under that basket. As you mentioned, I would really encourage anyone who thinks Jarrett Allen is just getting tossed around to go back and look at Mitchell Robinson's rebounds. So many of them are coming from Jarrett Allen taking a step out of the paint to get a hand up on a shot, and the ball just goes right to Mitchell Robinson because he's the only one down there. Now, we saw the Cavs adjust in Game 2 to make a little bit more of a team effort down there to get another body on Robinson, but the reality is, in those situations, unless Mobley happens to be nearby, which you can argue maybe he needs to do a better job of crashing, but he leads all rebounders in this series, something worth mentioning. Part of that is because he's played a lot of minutes, but the Cavs, if you have Karis LeVert trying to win a box out or win a rebound over Mitchell Robinson, it's just not a matchup you're going to win very often. And so Allen has a really difficult job of having to contest shots and get back into the paint to grab the rebound. And he is not making it any easier on himself when he goes into no man's land and overcommits in situations where he doesn't have to. As you mentioned, Jalen Brunson takes a lot of pull-up mid-range shots. And there are many instances where Jarrett Allen steps out like he's going to stop the drive, but Brunson is already pulling up into the mid-range. So Allen is basically in no man's land there. That's something that can't happen. That's something that comes down to game plan. Whether it's JB giving them the wrong game plan or Allen just not executing, it's impossible to know. One other thing that I want to mention that I kind of touched on with Mobley, Allen and Mobley are playing a combined 76 minutes per game. Hartenstein and Robinson are playing just 48 combined minutes. So when we talk about the Cavs getting outworked, out-hustled, not making the extra effort plays, while yes, you have to find a way to dig deep and get that extra motivation to win those 50-50 balls, even when you're tired, it is worth mentioning that there is no backup big to come in and help these guys. Mobley and Allen are carrying an incredibly heavy load, and the two guys they're going against have a very simple and defined role, which is play your ass off for 28 minutes each and just outwork Allen and Mobley. So you're going to have instances where the play in, I think it was the second quarter, the ball is going out of bounds. It looks like it's going out of bounds. Mobley kind of relaxes. Hartenstein sprinting after it, saves the rebound. I think they get a top and 3 out of it. And it's like everyone killed Mobley for that. And granted, he needs to make the extra effort there. He needs to go after the ball. 100%. Inexcusable. But it's also worth mentioning that, hey, if the Cavs get a backup big, maybe Mobley has a little more gas in the tank and he isn't, taking any opportunity he can to rest. So that is something worth mentioning, I think.